I thought to myself, if not now, then when? Hi, this is Daniel Agustin here. Welcome back to the series where I share with you the process of me making my own clothing brand so that you can learn from my mistakes if you decide to start your own. Why did I decide to start a clothing brand in first place? So let's go back to 2013. At that time I was 19 and I was granted a full ride scholarship to study abroad. So that's when I decided to move from Ecuador to come study in Canada. During the first years of my engineering career, I started picking up an interest on global issues. So I had changed a lot during those times, and something that sparked from all that was a curiosity to learn more about my own roots. As many places in Latin America, Ecuador's population is highly admixed, which means it becomes really hard to trace who your ancestors are. I took a DNA test and I found that I had a high percentage of indigenous blood, but I didn't really feel connected to that side much at the time. I decided to explore that heritage by myself, and even though I cannot really connect to those ancestors within my family, I wanted to honor that background, take pride in it, and get as close to it as much as I could. About a year later, I traveled to Ecuador to visit family and friends, and before returning to Toronto, I wanted to get some clothing that displayed prints and patterns and embroidery typical of Ecuadorian indigenous art. But I realized that it was hard to find pieces that match my style and fit me well. So I ended up getting a few pieces that I could adapt to my style the closest. No sé qué chucha hice aquí. A few days before leaving, I met with my friends and we had a conversation about what each of us were looking for in life. It was one of those deep, eye-opening conversations that kind of gets stuck in your head. And that night I realized that I wanted to be the best at something, and I knew that engineering wasn't that. The idea of introducing Ecuadorian indigenous textiles outside of Ecuador started coming up frequently in my head. I wanted to show the beauty of Ecuadorian indigenous textiles abroad and connect with my roots, even if I wasn't really planning on moving back to Ecuador. Once I returned to Toronto, I couldn't put that idea to rest, but I was too busy to do something about it. Fast forward 6 months, a lot of frustration at work, the talk with my parents telling me to stay in engineering, and my indecision about finding a different field within the discipline. And that's when I finally decided that I have had enough. And without a clear path ahead, I just took the decision to quit engineering altogether. And of course, I was really worried about my next move. I didn't really have a plan. But